Come back during night shift, stay whole shift if you believe delays are not too long. Second time posting here. This story is from 2014. Don't work there anymore since 2015. Setting: I was working in a top Asian brand factory in the engineering department. One of my main, and many, tasks was giving support to production with new models, and also training staff when product rework was needed. At this point, I'm a year into my engineering position and am sick of my work environment, as it was hostile in many ways, and was common for me to work 65 plus hours almost every week. Overtime was paid. This is relevant later. For reference, my work schedule, in paper, was 5 workdays, with 10.2 hours each day, including breaks and lunch, but I ended up also going most Saturdays, and staying late on weekdays also. The story: one Friday morning, my team manager, Jeff, not real name obviously, requested me to go home and return during second shift, because there was rework needed on some product and they need 2 members from our team during said rework. Jeff's instructions were as follows: go home, get some sleep, come back at the beginning of second shift, give rework instructions to staff members, supervise until they finish, and then send me a report with the outcome via email, stay overtime if needed. Simple enough. I just ask about my morning hours, and he states that the time I have worked that morning would be added to my overtime hours, and that I work second shift as normal hours, from 7:30 p.m. to 4:20 a.m., and to stay longer if necessary, to ensure everything was okay, paid overtime also. This whole exchange was done verbally, but in front of the department manager, so no worries. After talking to me, he went to a coworker, we will call him Jim, to ask him to also do the same as me. Cool, we agreed, and I clocked out at exactly 10 a.m., 2.5 hours into our shift, and then head out to the parking lot. Jim stayed 2 more hours due to another pending issue. Here comes the first problem. I go out to the parking lot and it's pouring, like Jumanji flooded house pouring. I get to my car and it's blocked by many other cars parked in prohibited positions. We were having big issues with this, not enough parking space, and can't get out to head home. I return to the security guard's post to get out of the rain and call Jeff. He doesn't pick up, was in a meeting, or so he says, so I call my supervisor, Brad, instead, telling him that I can't leave, due to the parking issue. Minutes pass, and Brad comes to the parking lot and has a little flash of genius. He sees his car is not blocked and proposes we switch cars, and exchange back on Monday. I agree, and go on my way back home, somewhat tired, hungry, and soaking from all the rain. Second problem occurs, a day passes and I head back to the factory just in time for the second shift, only to find out that rework will start only after 11 p.m., due to some production delays. For me, it's cool. I get time to do other pending work. As the hour draws near, the product that needed rework was not ready, nor would it be ready by 11 p.m., so Jim called Jeff, told him the situation, to which he stated, if you believe beginning of rework delays too much, go home and please come back on Saturday morning. No additional comment was given from us, we just agreed and he hanged up. Jeff was a fan of people following his instructions to the letter, and as you can imagine, this new statement pissed off the both of us, because Jeff was trying to avoid paying overtime for us just waiting idle and not doing this task, even though we had more activities to do anyways. Also, he was very known for having a silver tongue for making promises and getting out of them for petty reasons. Happened to me already, and I also was kind of annoyed because of the parking lot incident that morning. I lost like 45 minutes in the rain, just trying to get out. At the moment, I only had 2.5 clocked hours in the morning, and 3 more into the evening. Meaning that, even though he said those first 2.5 hours were overtime, I knew that wasn't in writing, so the next 5 or so clocked hours of Saturday morning would not be overtime, and if I didn't go, I wasn't going to have the total regular hours needed that week, and that HR would just deduct them from my overtime hours. At this point, Jim and I looked at each other, and I asked him to repeat what Jeff said on the phone. Cue malicious compliance, Jeff said, if you believe. Meaning that his words gave us free will, and we were going to follow his instructions to the letter. We were told by staff that at midnight rework process would start, and at 10 minutes before midnight, they would procure the people for us to train. We believed this wasn't a big delay, so we rolled the dice. We trained the staff, but product was delayed again. When we asked for new ETA, it was 1 a.m., that was perfect. Again, we believed it wasn't a big delay. By the second time we asked, the production supervisor got wind of what we were doing and played along. These 30 to 60 minute delays continued until 4 a.m., when finally rework process started, but we only had 20 minutes on shift, to which I remembered the first instruction Jeff said, supervise until they finish and stay overtime if needed. So us being the model employees, we complied. Rework was done by 7:10 a.m. Jim took off as soon as we finished. He had worked more hours in the morning. Just as I was sitting to make the report and send it via email, per request, Brad arrives for his overtime shift and was pissed off when he learned we didn't go home, and started until 4 a.m. and called Jeff to let him know the status of both Jim and I. I explained to Jeff via phone about how we complied exactly how he told us to, and that we were given small delays each time that we didn't believe to be too much. I also told him that Jim already left to sleep, but I could stay if he needed me to. Jeff was not vengeful, just a pain to work with, so nothing bad came out of this. He saw that I had outplayed him in his own game, and with his own rules, so he admitted defeat and told me to clock out for the weekend and come until Monday. I got my normal hours, plus extra 6 hours after that whole thing. Bonus, I exchanged back cars with Brad that same Saturday morning instead of Monday, which was nice. Oh, and the rework that was done that Friday night had to be redone again on Sunday, because someone unrelated to us messed up, and Jeff had to go himself to supervise because no one was available from our team. Santa doesn't like selfish brats. As a HR manager at a manufacturing company, I had the pleasure of working with some of the true salt of the earth lads. I bloody love them. It's rare to have this sort of relationship with HR, I know, but I didn't start in the position. I worked my way up, and in doing so, always kept my main ethos intact: be open and honest, and communicate. It's simple, but changed the way the company saw itself. With my job, and part of the open and honest structure I believe in, come my policies. In my experience, when people have defined policies, it helps them know what will happen, and limits any what-ifs. One of my policies is on gifts. We are a manufacturing company. We don't get a huge amount of gifts. Come Christmas, you do see a lot of companies trying to buy your interest though. It had appeared to me in the years I had been there, that most gifts came to myself from recruitment agencies, or to the purchasing manager from potential stockists. My policy stated that all these gifts would be put in a pool, and every employee would be eligible for them. It was nothing great, a few bottles of wine, some chocolates, once there was a stay at a local hotel. But it was important to me that everyone got to be eligible for them. And it's always fun on our last day before we shut down for Christmas, to have this raffle. It's a happy end to our busy season. And so I've been there for a few years, and our sales director is off on holiday in December. I have a call transferred through from one of our customers, and I'm thinking I'm about to hear a complaint. Instead, he asks for the address to send the whiskey to this director for this year. Say what? Apparently, this sales director received 2 bottles of expensive scotch every year from this customer. I told him he was off on holiday and asked him to send care of me. I then had my assistant email every customer our gifts policy. You know what happened? That year we had a butt-ton of gifts. Whiskey, hampers from fancy stores, weekend retreats. The sneaky-ass, stingy sales reps were just accepting these gifts, and not following the policy. They all played the this is the first year they've sent gifts that I know of, or I didn't know the policy cards. I wasn't having that. I showed them the signatures of them having received the brief on the policy, and reminded them that if they were found to be in breach of this, formal disciplinary action could be taken. Here is where I maliciously complied with my own policy. I had written in that you can be removed from the Christmas gift raffle should you be found in breach of said policy, accidentally or otherwise, to prevent this exact situation. I didn't state how long this removal would last for. None of them faced disciplinary action as it would be too hard to prove. It was 4 years last Christmas. Still no sales reps in the raffle. Cost my company $10K. So, I worked a full-time shift work job, where we changed between 2 positions based on the day and hours. If we were rostered on Monday through Friday, 0600 to 1800, we were at one position, and weekends, night shifts, 1800 to 0600, public holidays, we were at the other. We received weekly rosters to show where we were working, and the company faced heavy fines if a position was unmanned. I knew a public holiday was coming up, but the roster had me on the regular Monday through Friday position. I approached my manager and explained, who said she would check it out. Further info, I was told by our head office that I would be the manager when the old manager quit, and while I was on holiday, they hired this girl, who had 0 experience as a manager, or on the site, where I had been on the site for 8 years, and had been assistant manager, so I was not inclined to put myself out to cover her or the company. When I came in for my next shift, I found a note from her to just follow the roster, even though it was wrong. Sure thing. I spent 12 hours watching movies and doing absolutely nothing at 2.5 times pay, PH rates. I literally took my shoes off and spent the day with my feet up on the desk. The company got a minimum $10,000 fine for not having the other position man, and the manager got blasted for not using common sense.